Hi, my name is Katie Laramore, and I am doing my second video for our midterm for Women in Body. And I have chosen to do emotion in relation to Asperger's. And the reason I chose this is because I try to relate everything to me, and that helps me better understand concepts and how they relate. So I've chosen this because I am a mother of a child who has Asperger's. He is 15 years old, and he very much struggles with emotion and social cues. And so I found the article, You Feel Your Way, very interesting, and helped me to kind of dissect things and look at things. One thing that I started to do when I was reading this article is to make like a mind map. So I took the word emotion and I put it in the center, and then from there I attached different words to it that I found while reading the article. And a few different words that were attached to the word emotion was cognitive, impression, judgment, perception, and direction. And those are all just around emotion and how those different things affect our bodies. And so in relation to somebody who might have Asperger's, they themselves socially are looking at, there's two different things going on. They're trying to register the way their bodies feel, and then they're also at the same time trying to register the way other bodies look. One interesting thing that I've found during my research as a parent is that children with Asperger's oftentimes have a great concept of emotion. They cognitively understand, anger and sadness and happiness, and they understand that, and they can cognitively see it. But what they lack is that innate ability to respond spontaneously to it. And so in a social institution such as school, you can see how they might have a hard time perceiving all these different cues and body language and how that might affect them. So emotions from this article I'm learning shape our bodies. They make our bodies. We sometimes emotions will affect the way we react to somebody, which can be difficult for kids with Asperger's, right? Because if they're not, again, two different things are going on. They may not innately respond correctly to somebody who's maybe experiencing fear or anxiety. They might look at that as a very logical thing, instead of, innately going to them and saying, they might come off cold, or unresponsive or aloof or uncaring, and that's not the truth for them at all. They're very caring and compassionate people. They just don't innately respond to it very well. So that's one thing, right? And then the other thing is sometimes they don't respond to their own body language, so they might not feel that racing heart, the sweaty palms, the shortness of breath of maybe their own anxieties. So for them, they're competing with so many different things that we just find so innately easy to do in society, and for them that's much more difficult. A way to for the Star Trek people out there, in the new generation, I think it was the Data character who was kind of the android. He didn't have emotion, so he's very logical and responsive to his judgment. So maybe, and this is the same with Asperger's, I've done this before many times where I'll say something to Tanner or ask him, how does this look? And he'll be very honest with his judgment. And to me, that it may even hurt my feelings what he said, but he wasn't trying to hurt my feelings. He made a very logical judgment. and where I might have my feelings hurt, he doesn't understand why, but it's the truth. Why would you be upset by the truth? And so sometimes trying to teach him that a filter, how to filter things through society, how society requires filters, is very interesting to him. Why not be honest? You asked me if you look fat in those pants, and I told you. But sometimes we don't need to hear those things. Or maybe I don't need to ask the question if I don't want to hear an honest answer. So I just find that really interesting as far as emotion goes. In thinking about judgments, so Tanner can, let me go back. Tanner, if we're looking at that mind map again, we're looking at emotions. So a person with Asperger's can cognitively understand emotions. Direction, they might not know how to take the direction of emotion. So if somebody is responding in fear to something, he might not understand that what he is doing has caused fear. So therefore, the direction that he should stop, he's not registering that body language. For himself, he may feel the fear, but maybe is not understanding where it's coming from or what he should do with it or where he should go with it. So again, dual he's fighting with two different things. His internal response to that and the external social response. Perception kind of goes the same thing. He might not perceptually see that what he is doing is irritating to somebody. And that checking of the watch, you're just like, okay, yeah, this is irritating, your conversation isn't interesting to me. He might not be able to perceive that irritant and stop talking about the thing he's so passionate about, but maybe not everybody else. So again, that dual thing that he's struggling with, he has this, joy to share something that he's so passionate about, but cannot perceive that the other person has absolutely no interest. Judgment, he might, again, share comments, make comments, and that may result in poor judgment calls. But for him, he thinks, well, it's the truth, or why wouldn't I do that, or why wouldn't I say that? Because it was rooted in some sort of actual logic. But society can sometimes be sensitive. Back to that political thing that was said in Leave Your Way, had that soft touch. Asperger's can kind of lack that soft touch in a lot of ways. So emotions are hugely directing a lot of things. They direct so much of nonverbal things. They direct what's going on inside of us. And for somebody with Asperger's, how confusing it must be to not understand, maybe feel that within yourself and perceptually see it. And let's also add to that, which might be interesting. So if he's has Asperger's and he's a male, how interesting is that he, how his gendered body might also respond to emotions. So sometimes, particularly in my son, he can really have some anger, which might, and if he acts out, he's a man, he's showing anger, he's not making good judgments on when and how much of that he should control, and so how others might perceive him and his body he might not understand how others perceive him. So he's a male. He's exhibiting anger. He's not able to control that, and he's not able to see how others are perceiving him as being a very tall, he's 6'4", 15, very lean kid, and how he is, being perceived by the world. So a lot going on there. More than a 10-minute video can really allow me to just go in. But I really enjoyed that article, and I really enjoyed pulling in Aspergers into that and helping me realize how emotions are so innately ingrained in just about every part of the world, whether it's politics or it's school or it's parenting, so many nonverbal cues, and how a person with Asperger's is not born with that innate ability to perceive that, to judge that, to take direction from that. The great thing to remember about Asperger's, though, is they can learn. They do learn how to, build filters and make better judgments, but it's always a cognitive process for them. If you take away from this video, just be thankful that you have the innate ability to make judgments and perceptions and take direction from emotions, because we take that for granted when other people have a difficult time doing that so easily. I thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful evening.